Your dog just spent 20 minutes running through tall grass at the edge of the yard, chasing a smell only they could detect, having the best part of their day. You call them back, they trot over tail wagging, you give them a quick pat on the head and a scratch behind the ears, and you go back inside together. Everything looks completely normal. No limping, no scratching, nothing. And that's exactly the problem, because a tick doesn't need your dog to notice it to attach, and the places it's most likely to be hiding right now are the exact places most owners never actually check. Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Nick Lane, your neighborhood veterinarian, and welcome back to the channel. Tick season is in full swing right now, and every year I see the same pattern in clinic. An owner tells me they check their dog for ticks regularly, they run their hands over the back and sides, everything looks clear, and then a tick turns up somewhere they genuinely never thought to look, sometimes days or even weeks later, already attached and feeding. Today, I'm going to walk you through the 5 spots ticks actually hide on your dog, why those spots specifically, and exactly how to check them properly so you're not missing what a quick pat on the head would never catch. Before we get into the list, I want to correct the way most people actually check for ticks, because I think this is where the real problem starts. The instinct is to run a hand along your dog's back and sides, maybe give the belly a quick glance, and call it done. That check does genuinely catch some ticks, but it's built around the parts of your dog that are easiest to reach, not the parts ticks actually prefer. Ticks aren't randomly distributed across your dog's body. They gravitate toward warm, protected, harder to reach areas specifically because those spots offer cover and easier access to skin, which means the standard quick pat check is, by design, checking the wrong places most of the time. Let's go through the 5 places ticks are actually hiding. Number 1 is inside and behind the ears. Ear skin is thin, warm, and well protected by the ear flap itself, which makes it an ideal spot for a tick to attach without being seen during a casual glance. Owners will often pet their dog's head and ears constantly without ever actually lifting the ear flap and looking at the skin underneath or behind it. A tick tucked into the folds behind the ear or just inside the ear canal opening can go completely unnoticed for days. Number 2 is between the toes and around the paw pads. This area gets overlooked because most owners simply don't handle their dog's paws that closely, unless they're trimming nails. The skin between the toes is soft, and the fur there tends to be dense enough to hide a small, newly attached tick almost completely. If your dog has been walking through grass, brush, or wooded trails, this is one of the first places a tick makes contact and settles in. Number 3 is the base of the tail and directly underneath it. This area is warm, it's covered by fur, and often the tail itself, and it is genuinely one of the least examined parts of a dog's body during a normal petting session. Ticks that end up here can remain completely hidden simply because lifting the tail and checking underneath isn't part of most people's instinctive routine. Number 4 is the armpits, meaning under the front legs, and the groin area along the inner thighs. Both of these areas share the same features that make them attractive to a tick: thin skin, warm body heat, and dense fur coverage that naturally shields them from a casual visual check. These spots require you to actually lift a leg or gently part the fur to see the skin directly, which most people simply don't do during everyday interaction with their dog. Number 5 is around the neck and under the collar. This one catches people off guard because the collar itself becomes part of the problem. Fur gets compressed and matted slightly under a collar, creating a warm, hidden pocket right against the skin, and the collar physically blocks a casual glance from ever seeing what's underneath it. A tick attached under the collar line can remain hidden for the entire time the collar stays on, unless you specifically remove it or slide it aside to check. Here's why all of this actually matters beyond just discomfort. Ticks can transmit several serious diseases, including Lyme disease, ehrlichiosis, anaplasmosis, and in some regions Rocky Mountain spotted fever, and the risk of transmission generally increases the longer a tick stays attached, with many of these pathogens needing roughly a day or more of attachment before transmission occurs. This means the actual window that matters most is the gap between when a tick attaches and when you find it, and that gap is entirely controlled by how thoroughly you check, not by how careful or attentive an owner you generally are. Here is your home check, and I want you doing this as a full routine rather than a quick pat. Start at the ears, physically lifting each ear flap and checking both the inner surface and the skin directly behind the ear. Move to the paws, gently spreading each toe apart and checking the skin between them along with the pads themselves. Lift the tail and check the base and underside directly rather than just running a hand over the top, Lift each front leg briefly to check the armpit area, and gently part the fur along the inner thighs to check the groin region. And finally, slide 2 fingers underneath the collar and run them all the way around the neck, feeling for anything small and firm attached to the skin rather than just visually glancing past the collar. If you find a tick during this check, here's exactly what to do. Use a pair of fine-tipped tweezers or a dedicated tick removal tool, grasp the tick as close to the skin as possible, and pull upward with steady, even pressure rather than twisting or jerking. Avoid the old folk remedies like burning the tick with a match or covering it in petroleum jelly, since these methods don't work reliably and can actually cause the tick to release more saliva into the bite site, increasing the risk of transmission rather than reducing it. Once removed, clean the area with soap and water, and keep an eye on that specific spot over the following days and weeks for any redness or swelling that doesn't resolve. If you're ever unsure whether the entire tick, including the mouth parts, was fully removed, or if your dog develops lethargy, fever, appetite loss, or lameness in the weeks following a tick bite, that's worth a call to your vet. I want to bring this back to a reasonable place before you start pulling your dog's ears open every 10 minutes. Finding a tick doesn't mean something has gone wrong or that you failed as an owner. Ticks are simply part of life for any dog that spends time outdoors, especially during peak season, and the goal here isn't anxiety, it's a better routine. A thorough check after outdoor time, especially time spent in grass, brush, or wooded areas, takes under 2 minutes once you know exactly where to look, and it dramatically reduces the odds of a tick going unnoticed long enough to transmit disease. Let's bring this together. Ticks prefer thin-skinned, warm, protected areas over the parts of your dog that are easiest to casually glance at. Check inside and behind the ears, between the toes and the paw pads, the base and underside of the tail, the armpits and groin along the inner thighs, and underneath the collar around the neck. Remove any tick you find with fine-tipped tweezers using steady upward pressure, avoid folk remedies, and watch the site along with your dog's overall behavior in the weeks that follow. Most tick encounters, when caught and removed properly, resolve without any issue at all. If this video changed how you're going to check your dog after their next walk, hit that like button so it reaches more owners who are checking the wrong spots without realizing it. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And tell me in the comments, which of these 5 spots did you not know to check? I read every single comment. Give your dog a proper check tonight, not just a pat on the head, and always trust your instincts.